Welcome to the first episode of the AmScene podcast. I have my one very great friend, Shallows, joining me for my first episode of the podcast. Unfortunately, you guys can't see his face cam. I had issues with trying to figure out how to get his face cam on screen. I don't really know how to kind of fix it. I will figure out a day and have some
Yeah,
time
Ron.
to fix it. Otherwise, everyone say what's up to Shallows. Shallows, say what's up.
I see you unmuted yourself, but I can't hear you.
And of course, he can't hear me. Great. And we're running into issues already.
So, type in the chat if you're talking or not. I am muted myself for a sec, but I'm unmuted now. I can't hear you, and I don't see like your green bar moving. So, I think it's got to be on your end. Check your setting. Ah, I could hear you before you muted yourself. Fine. So, I think it's something you did, homie.
My mic was
There we go.
muted.
There we go. There we go. I hear you.
My mic was still muted. Anyway, stream. Sorry about that. I was talking with my mic muted the whole time. Anyway, so welcome to the very first episode of the AmScene podcast. I will get into what it's about in a minute. Um, Feel free to type in chat questions that you have for us, and what you want us to possibly add on to what we're already talking about. But anyway, this is the AmScene podcast. My very great friend Shallows, aka Brady, is my first guest on the podcast. And unfortunately, you guys won't see his face cam. I was having trouble with getting his face cam on screen, so it's just gonna be me for this episode, and hopefully next episode I will have it figured out for my next guest. And I will try to have it figured out when I have a little bit more time and like focus on it. I spent about like 15 to 20 minutes working on this, but still couldn't figure it out. So anyway, what the AMC podcast is it's going to be a podcast that we talk about the AMC and Call of Duty esports, or just esports in general, and then how we should fix it, or how it can be fixed, opinions on it, how it's changed over the years, and just any ideas on how we can just make it easier for AMs to become pros in esports. So first off, Brady, do you have any initial thoughts on like the AM scene as a whole?
Um, I mean, the AM scene, it's known to be toxic. People are always constantly changing their teammates. Most of the time, we think it's for no reason. Um, like after the Minnesota event, I saw a bunch of AMs that were tweeting that they're obviously free agents. A bunch of good kids. I mean, I've seen people on there with up to 10, 15K pro points. So those are obviously people that have been competing in the 2Ks and placing very high in them. And after one event, they don't get the placing that they like. They they want to switch teams, and I think that gives the AM scene a bad rap. To be honest with you, um, yeah, you always see pro teams. They have a bad. A lot of people always have bad tourneys, but they're not switching up their teams like the AMs are, and
Right.
it gets kind of annoying to be honest. Just to always see all these top tier AMs getting switched out.
Um, Another thing to add on to that, like people just look at stats, honestly.
Yeah,
like
Very toxic.
well, not really like toxicity to a point. It's more or less like people just see results and they don't want to give teams a chance, or well, players a chance to kind of show what they've got and really prove themselves for being worthy on the, like of being on the team, you know. And
Yeah.
that's like one thing that teams, well, really amateur players need to understand is like you're not gonna really find amateur
Any,
players that understand
you know,
it.
top
And you're
tier.
not gonna find them here and there. And amateur
Any,
players need to understand
you
it.
know,
And
top
you're
tier.
not gonna find them here and there. And amateur
Any,
players need to
you
get,
know, top
and you're
tier.
not gonna find them here
Yep.
and there. And
Any,
amateur players need to
you
get,
know, top
and
tier.
you're not gonna find them here and
Yep.
there. Another thing with
Any,
amateur players need to
you
get,
know, top
and
tier.
you're not gonna find them here and
Yep.
there. Another thing with
Any,
amateur players need to get. Anyway, so
um,
what I was saying was like another
you're,
thing like to add on to that is like a lot of amp players like really greedy nowadays.
yep.
You know?
Everyone wants a contract when they don't work for it. Everyone wants a fully funded team. And granted, I mean, some of these people, should be on funded teams with how good they are, but I mean, at the same time, you're not at the pro level per se. You need to work up to it. You need to, you need to spend some money, and a lot of these people aren't willing to. But that's kind of what you got to do to get a good rap for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, like another thing too is like people just want everything handed to them. Like they want like
Yep.
yeah, they just want contracts and stuff like that. They also just don't want to work for stuff. But
Yep.
besides that, like there are people that do work hard and do what they can to get noticed, but they also like don't get noticed. If you know what I mean? Like a lot of people that are possibly better than most pros now are never most likely going to be pros, and it's sad. Now, granted, there's orgs that do like cadet teams and stuff like that. Like you know how E United had
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
cadet team that brought up Simp last year in competitive Call of Duty, but also like how can these players move up if they aren't getting noticed? Like a lot of people are like you said going to these lands and not really seeing any recognition from it.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone watched the Minnesota event, what was it? Hybrid. They got a player on there. His name is Chain. Very good. He could easily be a pro. And it's just sad because I feel like he's never going to get the chance because no one is going to recognize him because again, if you were watching the event, it was like noon and they had the finals on for the open bracket. And what ended up happening was whatever team it was forced a second best of five. Well, they casted the first best of five on the main stage, which is good, but they also ended the stream. Well, ended the open bracket stream to put on the pros, which I mean, that's what people are there to watch. But at the same time, I feel like they need to have an open bracket stream at all time, not at all times, but whenever you get into like the quarters, the semis, the finals, those teams need to be broadcasted to show pros and potential organizations, what these players are about. And that's one thing that I think is missing from this year because we've seen previous years we've seen maybe not the quarters but we've seen the semis and the finals of the open bracket teams. They've always had it on. They've always had the alpha, the in the Charlie and the Delta streams going. And they're not doing that this year. They have one stream. Um, and they have they call it the path to pro, but who's going to get the chance to to actually do that this year, and I just don't see a lot of for these orgs spending money this year. Sending teams like Hybrid and putting these players under minimal contracts. I think they're wasting their money, and that's sad to say because no one's getting recognition. No teams are getting recognition for the money that they're putting in to send these players to events.
Well, back to what you said about there being a full stream or a set stream for these open bracket matches.
Hmm.
I think there actually should be a full stream for the AM bracket matches because
Yeah.
there's stuff that these AM players can do that isn't shown on stream, and it sucks because like how can that player get recognition?
Hmm.
And then so the team that won the open bracket event
What?
Singularity, wasn't it?
It was singular. It was either singularity or hybrid.
I think it was
I don't.
Singularity.
Yeah, again, I don't know because I didn't watch. I watched the first best of five, and I mean I know that the team that won the first best of five ended up winning, but I just can't remember because my mind is slipping right now. Um, but either way, I mean it.
I'm pretty sure it was Singularity though, because I remember seeing them
Yeah,
put up.
yeah, it probably was.
But anyway, but back to that. Singularity was an org that competed at BO4 last year. Like
Yeah, I remember them.
they had players that were going off. I think Cameo was one of them, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he's on Ultra, isn't he?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I
I
think
know
he's.
he's definitely on one of the pro teams. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it
I
is
think
all,
he's
to
on
be
Ultra.
honest, because bro, they signed literally like 10 people. They have the most signed people out of any pro team. They literally have a complete full backup squad, um, or a P2P team, I guess we should call it. Um,
I think he's the only player from that team that got put anywhere, or from the like that pro
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Because like I think the main reason he got picked up is because he had such a big showing at that event. Or because that was champs, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah, I think
he
that was
did.
champs in Black Ops 4. Like he was going off against the teams he was playing, and I mean going off.
Mhm. Um, but back to the whole KD thing, the AM's always looking at KD and always looking at the stats. If you watched Optic for the past couple years, when Karma was on there, he is never. I mean, granted, here and there he pops off like he should because he's a superstar, but he usually
Wait, who'd you say?
for Karma for the most time he was always negative, and he was always getting a bad rap for it from the not the AMs, but the entire Call of Duty scene in general, the fans. Every Optic fan was like, "Oh, you got to get rid of him. He's not producing." Blah blah blah. And Scump defended him and said, he's our entry person. He's gonna die 75% of the time, and it's Scump's job to pick up the trade. Karma's supposed to get at least, he's supposed to get one entry kill. He's not always going to be picking up these all these multi kills jumping into the hard points because if they're trying to break a hard point, usually there's two people sitting in the hard point. He's not always going to get those kills, and that leads to negative KDs whenever you're constantly sliding into the hill and dying. But what he's doing is he's setting up the trades for Scump. He's putting bullets in people, getting them weak, and letting Scump shine. Uh, that's the same thing for all these, every team in the league. Everyone has an entry person, and I'm not, I'm not saying that every entry person is going to have a negative KD, but for the most part, they are. When everyone's popping off, not everyone can shine, and I just think that gives that's also a part of the problem, for people getting dropped because not everyone's producing, but at the same time they are, and people just don't recognize it. People are always trying to look for kills. Who has the most kills, who has the least stats, who has the best KD.
Yeah, but to that point, all people really see now is stats. Like they don't see like people doing the hard stuff.
And it shouldn't be that way
People don't look at the hard
because, yeah, I mean, a lot of the
people don't.
times it's Karma who's putting in the most work on the map. He's trying to pick
Yeah,
up all these kills. He's putting all these bullets in players. Granted, he may not be getting the kills for him, but he's setting up his team for success, and that's what you need. This is a team game. You can't rely on a single person to get all these kills. You have to set trades up, and people don't. A lot of people don't understand that, and that's why we see a lot of players getting dropped. Is because most of the time people don't know what they're looking at. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure some of these people that are getting dropped, there's a reason for it, and obviously there's a reason for everything.
Team
But
chemistry,
but
people.
after yeah, yes, but after one event, it's just ridiculous. Especially if you're producing online, it's
Well, you gotta
you can't just.
you gotta also like see the point. Like maybe people are just on liners and not as good at land. Maybe people are going with
Yeah, I know, I
with
understand that, but
people
but
that
after
have no land experience.
yeah, I know, but after one event, I mean, you got to give people time to prove themselves. You
Right,
can't you
right,
can't give
right.
up on a team after one event. I mean, it's happened to it's literally happened to both of us. And I'm not saying at events, but
Yeah,
on teams. You team with a certain set of people for a week or two, and they're like, okay, we're ready to switch. And I mean, we've done it to players too,
yeah.
100%.
And
I mean, if it's not working out, it's not working out. But a lot of the times, it's you got to try and make it work. You have to try. You have to switch roles if you have to. You have to try every possible thing to make that team work. And if it just doesn't end up working, then it's time to move on.
yep.
But you can't just practice with it. You can't just practice with the team for a week, a month, or whatever. You have to put time in. You have to try every possible situation. If it's not working, at the end of the day, you get rid of the worst player, which is I just went through that with Rare Caliber Gaming before this season even started. And Black Ops 4 we started teaming. We were trying everything. I mean, we were winning our fair share of games, but we're also losing a lot. So we tried switching some roles. Some stuff started working for us, and then it wasn't. And I mean, it was just time for us to part ways, which was understandable. But I mean, in our defense, we literally tried everything. We switched people around. We switched people's rules, and it just didn't end up working. So
Now to add on to like people coming up in the scene to go pro, like should professional orgs be doing more to look at these up and coming players,
yes,
to have them go pro? Like yeah, like you're invested in the people you already have, and you want to try to keep them as long as possible. But these guys aren't like they're making enough money that they can just stop playing now and they're set for life.
yeah,
And a lot of the AMs, like me and you, we don't really care about the money. We care about proving what we got.
hmm yeah. It's all about working up to eventually become a pro. I mean, it's not always about the money. I mean, a lot of people want to look at the money. I'm not gonna say I don't look at the money sometimes, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's all
it's a
for the
finish
most
line.
part. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be teaming with people, and if say me and you were teaming, and the time comes, and I'm good enough to become a pro player. I'm sorry, but I'm leaving that team. You got to look at the money for. I mean, that's everyone's
Well, not
goal.
really just the
Not
money
not the
aspect.
money. Yeah, no, not the money, but yeah, the
The opportunity.
opportunity to become a pro, to play with the best, to become the best. I mean,
And that's understandable. I
that's what everyone's working for, towards.
I would say the same thing. I mean, me and you had that type of conversation back in World War II when we tried teaming.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
had
yeah.
we had this exact same conversation.
Hmm. I mean, we even told each other before we even started teaming.
Yeah, yeah, right.
We all said, we get an opportunity, we got to take it.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable because you just want the best for yourself and what you got to do to make it in life, really.
Yeah.
But now back to the point of orgs looking at these up and coming players, yes, like I said, they're invested in the people that they have now, and they want to keep them for as long as possible. But how long are these players really going to be around? Like, granted,
Hmm.
Surge has been around for a long time,
Yeah, I mean, how old is he? How old is Clay? Isn't he like
but
25, 26, 20? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, I knew he was up in the 20s, up 25 and
but
above.
like,
I mean, he's sort of setting the example of how long players can compete.
which is
And,
great.
he
Don't get me
was
wrong,
he.
that's a
I
huge
mean,
example. But
yeah. I
some
mean,
people don't have that drive that he does.
yeah. I mean, bro, he even had a lot of doubt in himself last year. Up until, I mean, what was it? 1,000 days from his last win.
1,400 days,
14.
actually,
Yeah,
1,400
yeah,
days without getting a championship win, and then this
yeah.
week he's going to win
Two in a
the
row
most
in champs. 2 in a row, including champs. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, it's I'm curious to see how long he can last and to kind of set uh the standard for how long people can play for. And I mean, none of us really know. I mean, this is just getting going as a big esport. I mean, granted, it's been big, but I mean, this is the first step that they took in trying to make it, multi-billion dollar thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the point of granted, it's the COD League is franchised now, so it's not as easy to make it into the pro scene. Um, but still, I think these orgs, well, not really the orgs, but more or less the current pro players should be looking at up and coming people, so they can see okay, this guy is good enough to kind of be the next me. Well, not really the next me, but the next me almost to
Yeah.
kind of put on a show for the fans and play as long as they have and possibly just keep it going. But that's one thing that pros don't do. There's all the pros are in their own little circle, and
Mhm. Yeah.
that's
I
who they talk
mean,
to. That's who they play with. That's who they're
yep.
friends with, besides their teammates. Granted, I've seen tweets from Clayster tweeting at P2P teams to screw
Yep.
with us,
Yeah,
and
beginning of the year.
hats off to Clayster for at least extending that hand. But that hand should be extended not just by him,
All the time. I mean, not no,
by
I shouldn't say that. Not
by the
all the time,
pros
but
that
yeah, it
don't
should.
even have enough playing time left on their heads.
Yeah. Um.
Because I've seen
That.
I've seen AMs mop the floors with pros online. Now, granted,
Yeah.
the pro teams have been teaming together for a long time. They had more team chemistry, and they also know how the people that they're playing with work. So it's not like there isn't anything there, for them to keep playing with those guys. But it's also to a point yeah, they say oh, I hope you make a pro one day, hope you make a pro one day, but like just saying that doesn't really help. That gives people or and players I guess more of a drive to kind of succeed and go to pro. But how can you really expect am players to kind of keep grinding and playing to get to the pro level without really any extra recognition from the pros themselves?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, these pros, they all have people that they play with constantly. They all have their little group.
Since the pros now became pros.
Yeah, and one thing that kind of rubbed me was the Huntsmen. They signed Embos over a lot of potential AMs like such as Pentagram, Chain, all these good people that constantly playing.
Embos has an in.
I know, and I mean that shouldn't give him a free spot. I mean, what is he gonna do? I know they have a 6 man in General.
Right.
Um,
In general,
Bose is literally
top
gonna
three.
never. Bose is gonna get no playing time whatsoever. It's not like a normal sport. These
And
kids,
honestly,
these
I think
people aren't gonna get hurt.
I
Yeah,
think
that's what I'm saying.
I think
Like
Bose hasn't seen any competitions.
he's getting a free 50K. That's minimum.
Yeah.
That's minimum for a sub. 50K free.
Nope.
You can live. That's he can live off that. He doesn't have to do shit the whole year. He can live off that just
Plus,
basically
they're
because
redoing
he's
like
friends
streaming and
with
whatnot.
Hex and Stomp and all those people. And it's not. It's I saw Pentagram and a lot of these top AMs complaining about it, and you know
And I
kind of
don't think it's
I gotta agree with them. I mean, you
I don't
can't
think
keep
it's more of an
expecting.
unfair advantage. Sorry to cut you off,
No, it's fun, but
but it's more or less an unfair advantage.
yeah, I
Especially
mean,
since Bose lives with it.
yeah, I mean these people are trying. These people are trying to prove themselves, and no
Right.
one's giving them a chance. I mean, yeah, you can say, yeah, oh, we play tons with them. We scrim them every now and then. That's not giving them a chance. You gotta constantly play against these kids. And then you gotta think about after, like, wow, he's good. What can I do to get him on my team, or what can I do to help him get on a pro team? These pros aren't gonna stick around forever, and when they retire, who are teams gonna sign? No one's gonna have an idea of who to sign other than these very good AM players that should be on pro teams. You're gonna sign them, but you gotta think about the future with this thing, and all these pros are always like, oh, we don't get enough advertisement, blah 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 blah. Well, at the same time, you got to put in your part. You got to give people chances, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. It would be nice to see some of these top AMs get on some teams and get some playing time to get some new faces in the scene, just like Simp. I mean, E United took a chance on him. They dropped JCap, okay, a world champion.
Yeah,
Decide, granted, I don't really like him, but
there was issues with playing J-Cap.
yeah, I
Why they
understand that.
dropped him
But at the
because of
same time,
Sim. It was
at
because
this, well, I
the
mean,
people at J-Cap were having issues with the leadership of
yeah,
what they wanted to do.
yeah, but at the same time, they had a cadet team. They had Simp ready to go, and Illy was on that cadet team as well. They had two people that are in the pro team right now on that cadet team. They knew that they were going to get their chance, and they thought Simp was ready to shine, and I think he's been ready to shine for a long time. By the way, that he came into the pro league last year at the end of the year, to perform at the biggest stage that he's ever seen at
And
what 18 years old. The
right.
kid was still in high school. The kid wasn't even out of high school yet. He was in high
The
school.
funny thing is, like, he ended up being like the MVP of the season.
Yeah,
Like,
this whole of the season, and he played what, like 3, 4 events.
and like, the funny thing is, like, his first, well, I wouldn't say his first LAN event because he did win 2 events on LAN under the cadet team before they brought him up. Because he won like the amateur or he won the open bracket twice in a row.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he got some LAN experience, but his first real LAN against pros, he fucking slapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's
in grand finals,
yeah.
or I don't know if it was grand finals, but it was the one match where Sim got like a quad feed with a sniper right off the rip.
I was literally just thinking about it. I was just gonna bring that point up. That was against Red Reserve, I'm pretty sure, with Joe and all the. It was either Red Reserve or it was the Red Reserve. I'm pretty sure it was the Red Reserve team after they split. So like, Scraps and them weren't on it, but Joe was still on it. I think. Who else was on that? He's on London right now. The dude that Scraps was fighting with, whatever. But anyways, I mean, it was still a very good team. No, 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 no.
Rated?
Yes, rated. Joe and rated and those people that were on Red Reserve other than Scraps. and one other person. I think it was Zero. That they were on that team, and Simp just absolutely annihilated them. I mean, they 3-0'd them that series, and Simp made it. I mean, he made it look like a walk in the park against these pro players that have been competing for years. Since these, you got to keep in mind these people that are pros now. Most, 90% of them have been competing since they were 15, 16 years old before the age limit came into play. So these people
No,
got 4, 5, 6 years under their belt, and he's up there competing with them when he's got a couple at the highest level.
only one. No, no, no.
Hmm.
That he only had a few months because he was
Yeah.
an S and D star playing in S and D tournaments online constantly. Like him and Illy, they ran the S and D scene in BO4.
Yes.
And like another thing that's really unfortunate is that the kids that are on these pro teams now, like Simp and Illy, they it took them years to get recognized, and they probably had this skill all along. But because the pros are so used to their inner circle and who they would rather play with and who they would rather team with and keep in that inner circle, like granted, I get they've all been friends for years and they're the top level of competition, so they want to play against the same guys to keep up with that same competition and so on and so forth. But like how's that like really working out for you? Like you've been playing the same people for the past 10 years going on. You know pretty much how they work, how they play the game. Granted, it might be a new COD every year, but you still know their playstyles out to a T. So it's not like it's any different. It's just a new game, and really you just gotta learn how the game is played, not how they play, because you've been playing against them for years already.
Yep.
And that's another thing that's really unfortunate about the AM scene is that like they don't change up their competition. Like think about how like think about the AMs. Like we constantly play GBs, we constantly play random people. Like
Yep.
we don't have the same competition every day, all day. You know,
Not at all. Yep. Not at all.
it's always different. And I think that's the real difference between the up and coming AMs and the pros, because the pros get so relaxed on who they're and comfortable with who they're playing against, they don't really need to worry about it. Because even if they lose to each other, they're all still great friends afterwards because they don't really care. Now, I kind of wish that tournaments were still like how they were back in BO4, BO3, where um, if certain AM teams made it out of open bracket, they got to go into pool play and play against the pro teams. I don't know why they stopped doing that. Like, for the Call of Duty League stopped doing that. I feel like if the Call of Duty League started or kept that up, then it would give AMs a way better chance to make it into the pro scene and get noticed.
Yeah. Ryan, I just want to say real quick. I just turned on your stream. Your voice was kind of really lagging. I couldn't really hear you.
I'm not sitting too close to my mic. That's hold on. Why
Yeah,
is
that's probably the reason. Cause it like I turned it on. It wasn't really.
what is going on with my mic right now? I don't know what's going on with my mic. It could just be that I'm not close enough to it. That's
It's probably it, but it was like really low, and I had it up pretty much.
that's probably why. Let me mess with my gain settings a little bit. Let's see. I don't really know. I don't really know why my mic is acting up right now. I might need to get a new Yeti mic. That's great. Mic check, 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 check. Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's it's picking it up now, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Let me try unplugging my mic and turning it and plugging it back in. Let me try moving my mic closer too. See if that helps. I'll figure it out. How's that? Stream, is my mic good now? Is my mic okay for you guys? I don't have any issues with it with where it's at. Why is my mic's not being picked up?
Ron, make sure if you're talking, make sure your mic is unmuted because I can't hear you. Hello?
There we go. That's probably why. How's that? Stream? We good? There we go. So that's probably why my mic isn't working right. Okay. Brady, can you hear me? Oh. Discord. Wanted to fuck up. Alright, you good? Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it messed up when I unplugged my mic and plugged it back in. So I figured out what was going on. My mic was not being used properly through Streamlabs and other stupid stuff. Because I was going to say, I've never really had this issue before, so...
Is it good? Did you go on your stream? Is it good now?
It should be good. I'm checking Streamlabs. Streamlabs is really picking my mic up now. So, sorry about that, stream. Technical issues. So those of you that are tuning in and joining, do you guys have any questions like to add on to the points that me and Brady have been talking about so far, or any like opinions that you guys have about the AM scene and how different it is nowadays and how like it could possibly be better for AMs to get noticed to become pro? If you guys got any questions or opinions to add on, feel free, go ahead and jump right in and chat. So anyway, back to our point. Like, granted, there's like a lot more money involved in the Call of Duty League now. It's not as easy to move up as it was almost 8 years ago when pros were starting out, which is unfortunate. Because people could just people were just going and playing in a tournament, and that was it. They just went and played in a tournament, and then orgs started getting more involved. Money started getting more involved, and it just blew the scene up, and unfortunately, it's just not like that anymore. It just sucks that times have changed. But back to the thing of teams working out and not working out with certain players. A lot of people just don't have the drive now because of how hard it is to go pro too. That's another thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
People just try their hardest to go pro, and they say they have the commitment, and yeah, they'll have the commitment for a little bit and try to play as long as possible, but when people don't see any results after a certain amount of time, their drive and passion dies out. And that also goes back to the pros not looking at these players that are giving it all they got to move up.
Yeah.
Which
what we've seen. Who retired? Moch retired. I mean, he's been competing forever, so it was kind of expected. He kind of fell
Yeah.
off, a couple years ago.
I
What
mean,
Robbie B? He was just in the
I was just about to
pro league
say,
last year.
I was just about to say,
Uh,
Robbie B is the prime
gave up.
example of that. Like,
Yeah. And I mean,
I've seen
even
him go to or compete at a few locals, like not in person, but on Twitter. Like you see him compete at a few locals and have great events. I think he actually like won ETG last year, if
yeah,
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he won ETG last year for BO4. ETG is probably one of the biggest local lands. It's actually one of the ones that Sib went to. But because even though he's been competing for as long as he has been, I don't even know really how long for to be exact, but he got burnt out. Life caught up with him, and it sucks to see players of his caliber die
yeah.
out
I
before they really
mean,
get a chance
even
to kind of get to that stage.
yeah. I mean, even I'm not sure about now, but I'm pretty sure at the end of BO4, or it might have been the start of this game. I know Beezy, um, who was also on a pro team last year. I think he was on the same team Robbie B was.
Yeah.
He took a leave of absence. I'm not sure if he's still under that. I haven't really paid much attention to him this year.
Yep.
Um, but I haven't seen his name at all under anything.
Yeah. I
Um,
even forgot about him completely until you just brought him up. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about too.
yeah. I mean, a lot of these people just lose
It,
their drive
and they
because
also lose their confidence.
granted he was on a pro team last year. Yeah, I mean he probably lost a lot of confidence because that team he was on uh didn't I don't even know if they won a single game.
Yep.
Um but
Um. Now, do you have possibly any points to add on of how the M scene can change and how it should progress for AM players to get noticed?
um I mean yeah, I kind of said it earlier, these events, these major events need to have an open broadcast with the
Mm-hmm.
open bracket teams. It doesn't have to be the entire tourney because that would be a lot. There's a lot of teams competing, a lot of open teams competing at those. Even if it was just quarters, semis, finals, those teams, those top six teams, top eight teams need to be recognized because they're going through a very large bracket. They're playing constantly. I mean, those teams are in the event from the time it opens up to the time it closes at night. They're playing and they're getting no recognition at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting recognition for the finals just to get cut off in a second best of five, and that
Yep.
can't happen if these people, if the people running this league really care about the AMs, I mean, they made a whole division for them, the P2P.
Yep.
They even in their logo, they have what? They have the pros, the three bars. They have the pros, the Pat the Pro, then the fans, okay? All
Yep.
of those people need to be involved. They're involving the pros, they're involving the fans and a lot of stuff, but that middle tier, okay, the AM teams, they are not giving them a chance to get recognized.
Well,
And it's
now
sad.
talking about the fans, I think the fans have a little bit more to do with it too because, like, yes, they're mainly focused on the pro players and they want to see the pro players compete and really no one else because that's how it's been. But
Yep.
I feel like if there was more people interested in the AM scene, then it would also raise notice and awareness and recognition for up and coming AMs.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as interested in the AMs as I am the pros. I love the
I'm the same way.
Huntsman.
I'm the same way.
But I mean, I've kind of learned to understand that you need to watch these matches to kind of help this thing grow. You need to watch every stream. You can't just be tuning in when the
Mm-hmm.
Huntsmen are on. I mean, when Optic was Optic back in the day, I
Yep.
was only watching Optic for the most part. I was
Yep.
watching
Same.
a
Same as
couple
me.
teams that I like certain people on like Glacier. I was watching like the Nile when he was on there and
And
FaZe when he was
I
on
would
there.
catch like
I was
the last little bit of certain matches that were
yeah,
on
but
before Optic.
But at the end of last year,
But I wasn't
or
really
even
interested in that match. I was worried about
yeah,
Optic.
I mean even like probably halfway through last year, I really started I watched Gen G's matches. I watched pretty much every team's matches to try and learn and understand, and it's to help myself better myself as a player. And but at the same time, I'm trying to understand and to watch and support all of these teams going on if this is something that I want to be a part, as well as I know a lot of these fans, they want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, everyone's end goal is to become a pro,
Mm-hmm.
to get that contract. But you gotta try and support as much as you can. And I'm pretty sure I only missed like one game
Mm-hmm.
of the whole Minnesota event. I mean, I even watched the open bracket finals. I watched every single every single game going on, and it's helping me understand and learn, and just overall just support this whole thing that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I really think a lot more people should take the time. And I mean,
Now,
obviously, some people
one
can't always watch every
one
match, but I
person
really
that
think
does come
everyone
to
should.
mind that does kind of really care about the AM scene and does what he can for the AMs is Saul Garza. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's Barzilian.
Um. No, that's not Parzalian.
Mm-hmm.
No, Saul Garza, the guy that owns Three Kings Gaming.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, because Parz's first name is Saul. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I know. He owns an AM team.
Yeah, the Three Kings game
Yeah,
or Three
yeah, yeah. No,
Kings
yep,
org
yep,
or
yep, yep,
whatever it
yep.
is.
My bad.
Yeah, you're good. He's a guy that, like, even like you'll see all over Twitter. Like he talked about, uh, am orgs, am players, ams. It's like that's his thing. Um, Now, granted, he's like fully enveloped in pro esports and stuff like that. Like he knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I believe it or if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a local or maybe it was champs. I don't know. It was a COD event that was pretty nicely streamed. Um, where his org was in it, and I don't know well or how well his org did. I just remember it was a long time ago. It was during last year's season. Um, uh, that his org was at an event, and like I said, I didn't really watch their match. I just saw his org in it. Um, but since then, I haven't really seen anything out of his org. Now, granted, I don't know what his mindset is with doing or with his org and this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you'll see him talking all over Twitter. Like if I'm not mistaken, he just also did like a Twitter live stream talking about what happened with Aspire, like how Aspire changed ownership and didn't really pay out some of the players that they had,
Yep.
and how they're like almost 200 grand in debt, and then he like passed it all over to the guy that took it over, so that way he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. Now, do you think these, or using Aspire as an example, do you think these so-called AMorg owners should like really, and this is kind of like going off of what I watched and listened to in his little in Saul Garza's Twitch stream, or not Twitch stream, Twitter stream, or his live video, whatever you want to call it, about like these so-called AM organizers taking more responsibility to put forth what they promise these AM players, because people like the owner of Expire or the previous owner of Aspire, like they can promise a shit ton of stuff, but whether or not
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see it is a totally different story.
Yeah.
And like, do you think like these org owners should kind of stick true to their word, or about what they promise before they get into it, or really just be more prepared to fulfill what they say and what they say they want to do and what they're gonna do, so that way they can like kind of keep a good name for themselves and not end up like the org owner of Aspire or the previous one.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. These teams they gotta you can't put these players under contracts and not pay them. I mean, even a pro team did it last year. That was reserves. That was their falling out. I mean,
Yeah,
I think I
yep.
remember Scrap saying he
It was
hasn't been.
scraps and
I
rated.
remember at one point, yeah, he said they haven't been paid for 6 months.
Yep.
And that's what made that team fall apart. I mean, granted, Scraps and rated they had their falling out, but that was also due to the money. I mean, tensions were high. They weren't being paid. Um, to play, and it's messed up to see. I mean, obviously, there was probably something behind the scenes that we didn't know. I'm sure they wanted to pay their players, but some unfortunate events happened and they couldn't. But these AM teams, I mean, even Midnight last year, what they locked their roster, the best roster. I mean, what they started out they were like 6-0 at the beginning of the season. They had them on very small contracts, and I mean these players they worked themselves up to pros, and they kind of earned their right to be called pro players, and they earned their right to a lot of money, and they ended up missing out on a lot of it. They ended up falling apart. All those players went to different teams. Envoy went to Gen G. Brack went to LG. A lot of these,
Yeah, and Midnight too.
I
Midnight is
really
another prime example of
that's
what happened with Red Reserve.
Yeah, that's I was kind of disappointed when I saw that because I really wanted to see what that team could do because they were. I mean, what they beat? I'm
They were
pretty sure they beat
dominating.
They beat Optic. I'm pretty sure the first matchup. I mean,
Yeah, but
they
you gotta remember they also weren't their full. Like, I'm not saying that this is an excuse, but they weren't their full roster,
yeah.
which threw them off. They practiced with Zuma for like a week before they went to the
Hmm.
Pro League. Um,
Yeah,
so like,
but I mean, still, I mean that was a very good team. They went undefeated in the qualifier. They won their first 2 or 3 matches in the
mhm,
pro league, and then they fell apart. All
mhm.
those players ended up going to different teams because,
So
again, an org didn't give what they. Well, I guess no, it wasn't even what they promised. I'm sure they were giving what they promised, but
mhm.
they weren't paying them enough, and they were taking advantage of. Well, this is the last year that the CWO is going to be intact. We're going to do whatever we want. We're going to pay these players shit amounts because
Mhm.
what are they going to do? I mean, this whole thing for the most part is ending.
You know, you actually just made me think of a great point. The only two people that I think are on a pro team roster currently or from the old Midnight roster are Brack
Envoy,
and and Envoy. I don't
yeah,
think
Brack is on Ultra.
yeah, I don't think the other three are even like heard of anymore.
Yeah, who it was Parzilian,
Jet Li,
Brack, yeah, Jet Li on fifth.
I don't even
Uh,
know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Like,
they were a superstar team, and now I'm having trouble remembering the fifth. And I, gonna be honest with you, I even forgot about Jet Li there for a second. Um,
and it's crazy. Like, these guys were superstar caliber players, and now you only see of two of them.
yeah, Pars was arguably at the beginning of the season
One of the
one of
best
the best
ARs.
ARs, and he's not even on a team now. I can't even remember. Was he on a team? Yes, he was on UIU.
Yeah, he was on UIU
Being on
after all that
UIU.
stuff happened.
But now he's not on. He's not signed to anyone. I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
he's
even
not
think.
on any org. I don't even know if he still plays. I don't know. I haven't seen anything on him. I'm sure he
Um,
still plays, but I haven't heard anything about him.
Honestly, I don't even think he has done anything since UIU.
He hasn't. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, he hasn't really done anything since Midnight. I mean, UIU was a shit team
Yeah, but
last year.
he was also kind of carrying UIU a little bit because
Yeah, no,
they had
I mean, I
methods,
understand
they
that,
had
but
classic, but like who else did they really have? I don't even know. Wait, didn't they have Pentagram?
no, 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 Pentagram.
No, UYU. Didn't they have Pentagram?
No. Pentagram just got signed to UYU this year. Pentagram was on Mazer last year. He ended up going to COD Champs under Mazer. Um, and I'm pretty sure Mazer did decently well. I'm not sure if they made it to the final couple days, but I know they were winning matches there. But yeah, no, I know that for a fact. Pentagram was on Mazer last year. He wasn't on a pro team at all throughout that year.
Yeah, I could have sworn he got brought on to UYU.
Nah, no. He wasn't on. I'm like 95% positive he was not on a pro team last year.
I don't know. I just feel like I saw his name on UYU. I could be
I mean,
wrong.
he is this year. He's on UYU this year. He got signed to them at the very beginning of the season before anything even started happening. I think it was I think it was the second 2K because I'm pretty sure they won the first two, or they won the 2K. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been the 10K. I don't know. I know they won the first one of the first 2K or 10K, and then right after they got signed to UYU.
2Ks. They don't do 10Ks anymore. They haven't done a 10K.
No. Yeah, no. They did the New York Subliners 10K this year.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you're right. My fault.
So I'm pretty sure it was the 2K they won though. Oh, the first one, and then they got signed to UIU, that team. And then well, I guess Tish was on UIU, and then Empire brought him up after Mutex's little mental breakdown fallout there.
Yeah, on stream.
So now he's on Empire, which is good to see. You know, an AM person getting picked up on a pro team. But again, he's not going to see playing. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that because, by the way, things are going so far for Dallas. I'm not going to say, they're obviously a very good team, but they're not beating these. They're not beating Atlanta. They're not beating Huntsman. They're not beating these top two teams, these top three teams. Honestly, I would love to see them play Paris because I, for one, love Paris. They're a bunch of underrated players. They got Kismet on there. I really like Kismet. Kismet was an AM last year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of underrated people on that team, and I would love to see Dallas play them. I would love to see.
Luka, he was on Line Freak for a while, and then he got dropped, and then now he's back on top, or now he's back in the pro scene again. I'm trying to think. There was a So, do you think AMs could be doing more to get notice as well? Do you think they're not doing enough?
Honestly, nah. I don't think it's their fault at all. I see a lot of.
I would agree to disagree with you on that one, just because I feel like if AMs really wanted their chance, I feel like they would tweet at pros more and stuff like that, and really kind of make more of an effort to get their name out there, besides just going and playing it at these open bracket tournaments. And trying to play against them online.
I know, but I do see a lot of these. I always see Pentagram. He's always tweeting out. He's playing AM/Pro 10s. I always see him playing 10s. I always see a lot of these people playing 10s with pros. But at the same time, they're not scrimming anyone. But we don't see what's going on. We can't see. These people, these AMs might be DMing these pros. Asking to scrim, and they might just be egoing them. Out of here. We need to play.
Let me clarify what I mean by tweeting out. More or less tweeting out when they have a nice clip or something, like tagging pro players and stuff like that. Not necessarily. Not necessarily DMing them, but. More or less,
I don't know if I would tag pro player in a clip though, to be honest with you.
If it's something really disgusting, especially something in S&D, really disgusting, 1v4 clutch or something that shows your capabilities of being a great pro player, Yeah. I'm saying stuff like that.
I understand. Yeah.
Do you think AMs could be doing more stuff like that to help get their name out there?
I guess. But at the same time, it's not all. It's not up to them. At the end of the day, it's the pro team's decision what they're gonna do.
You're not wrong. It's just a tough situation for all AMs, really. It's hit or miss,
Yep.
and it's like very very seldom ones that hit. I would say it's like a good 5% of ones that hit and a good 95% that miss, and it sucks because the ones that miss are probably better than the ones that hit. It's just like take Shotzi for example. Like yes, he was a pro player in Halo, but and he was doing okay online, but
Yeah.
he would. I think like the first match or one of his first matches, he went
7-32.
7-32.
Yeah, it was
Like
against Huntsman. It was on Domination Hackney.
like yeah, I get you could be nervous and stuff like that, but dude, you like there's no reason you should be doing that terrible since you've already been playing the game for months online,
Hmm.
beating teams online. Like I'm not saying that Empire should have won that match or anything like
Yeah.
that, but you've been under the limelight, you've been on stage, so there shouldn't be any nerves. Like, granted, if the crowd is chanting against you or whatever, like you've been on main stage probably more times than, or at least more times than Illy and
Yeah, I mean, he was a pro Halo player. I mean,
yeah, that's
he
what I'm
has
saying. Like he was a pro
experience.
Halo player, so it shouldn't be really it
Mm-mm.
it should be relatively familiar to him. So
I mean, you've seen a lot of Halo players switch over to Call of Duty. I mean, Formal being probably the most
Crim Six Formal,
recognized.
Enable,
Enable, yep. I mean, those are the
Maniac.
top people. Yeah, I mean, even, I mean, bro, look, I mean, that's just
And
another general
I'm not gonna
example
lie, I
of
played
who
against Maniac in a GB on World War II, and I got
it's
fucking slapped by him.
it's who you. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's who you know. I mean, he hasn't competed he's not considered a pro player
Actually,
in
he
Call of
is.
Duty.
Yes, he
I
is,
mean,
because he's on
I
Florida Mutineers as a sub.
that's what I was getting at. Technically, he is, but at the same time, he's not. He hasn't competed
Mhm.
at a major event. He hasn't competed on a major team. He shouldn't even be on one of these teams.
Right.
That spot should be filled by an AM player,
Yep.
as
You're right.
Pentagram or Chain or any of these very
Now,
well known AM players.
not
They
all
should
the
be on.
sub
They
spots are
should get those
filled.
spots.
So, like most teams, I think Ultra's the only one that has like a full roster filled
Mhm.
with subs and starters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the only one. So, I mean, it's not like they still don't have a chance, but I feel like these orgs are mainly looking at big name people instead of people like to bring up because they don't want to pay out the money. They'd rather pay out the money to people that they know can possibly step in at any time um and be ready to kind of make plays and like fill in certain games and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I understand.
So, um, do you got any closing remarks for the first episode?
Um. Well, to
Any
kind of bring it all,
closing
full
opinions?
circle. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess okay. We talked about KD and stats. Players got to understand. What if people don't have the best maps, you got to look at what they did for the team. If they were pushing hills constantly, if they were putting bullets into players, not necessarily getting the kills, but setting other people up for success on the map. You got to look at that. You can't just look at stats. Um, to talk about, I mean, to kind of wrap up. Um, the contracts, people, these AM orgs, they need to give the players what they promise them. You can't promise people this enormous amount of money and not give it to them, especially whenever they're putting in the work for it.
Right.
Um, I guess CDL, they need to start setting up streams uh, for the open bracket. Even on Twitter, I saw one of the org owners for one of the AM teams. They were streaming.
Well, not really
Um,
just
they
separate
were they were
streams, more like just
yeah.
one mainstream for the matches that are like really
Yeah,
getting the
yeah,
most
yeah, yeah. But
crowded and
I
stuff like
mean,
that.
I was seeing one of the org owners of one of the AM teams. They set up a periscope behind their players, and they were
Yeah.
showing the matches, and I saw a crap ton of people in there because people want to, people that want to see this thing succeed. They want to watch these AM players. They want to see what's next for Call of Duty. They want to see who's up next.
Yep.
So I think CDL, the whole league, they need to get their shit together, for lack of a better term, and set up a stream for these open brackets. I said it a million times. It could only be quarter semis, finals, but those players need to be recognized. Um they need to be recognized.
Yeah.
They need to get their screen time.
I would. I agree with you 100%. I mean, and we can go on forever talking about this.
Yeah.
And talking about these points and just adding more onto it and adding more onto it and adding more onto it. I think really ultimately comes down to is the top orgs and top players really need to start looking at their successors. Honestly, I think that's what it should ultimately come down to, is because like they're not going to be around forever. They're not going to be playing forever. And they should be not. I wouldn't say necessarily looking for their replacement, but more or less looking for their replacement.
Yeah. At the same time, yeah.
Yeah. There was a couple points that I wanted to talk about and wanted to get your opinions on, but we're running a little long here. We'll have to possibly talk about those with the next guest in the next episode. One that will be most likely in a couple days or next week. I'm gonna try to get a set schedule for the podcast. For right now, it's just gonna kind of be when I can do it. But yeah, unfortunately, we missed those points that I wanted to talk about. I'll have to write those down and note them down for the next episode, or even for the next time that you join me for an episode.
Yep.
Brady, I thank you for joining me for the first episode. Thank you for being my first guest. I really appreciate it. I feel like we had some great points on the AM scene and stuff like that, and I feel like we had great conversations over what we talked about.
Yeah, I being on this, to be honest with you, and I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this and
Definitely,
very
man.
first podcast of the AM scene. I mean, I would love to be on more of these and talk about more stuff going on in the AM scene, or just Call of Duty in general.
Yeah,
I
definitely, man.
enjoyed talking
I'd
about
love
it
to have
with
you for another episode. But that's going to wrap it up for the first episode, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys missed anything on the podcast throughout the whole time we've been talking, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, so that way you guys can go back and watch it and leave your opinions in the comments, and join me for the next episode. I'm going to figure out a guest for the next episode. I will tweet out when the next episode is going to be, who I'm going to have. I got a couple people lined up already that I tried to ask to be on for tonight. But I got a couple people lined up, people that I know, people that I've known for a little bit now. So definitely be on the lookout for more episodes of the AM Scene podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. Peace.